guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today we're going to answer a number of questions that you guys have sent into our website at AmericanHomestead.com. We have a contact page up there, and you can contact me through that website. I don't respond to all the emails. I just don't have time. However, if you email me on a subject that I feel passionate about or I feel is worth responding to, maybe on a video or something, I'll check mark that thing in my inbox and I will save it as a way to get back to it later, or I'll copy it in my phone or something. So I've got a number of emails I've been wanting to go through over the last few weeks, and I've been setting those aside, and so we're going to address some of those today. I have other questions that have been sent in to me that I will address later on in other videos, but today we're going to get started. So the first one is, can selling food at farmers market support my homestead? Years ago, I think it was before we ever left St. Louis, Jamie and I watched this documentary. I think it was on Netflix or somewhere on one of those places. And it was talking about the difficulty and just how hard it is to be able to raise food and then take that food and sell it at the farmer's market. It's almost not worth it. It's not worth it. You know, and that was the purpose of this documentary. I tried to find the name of that documentary before I did this video, and I searched for about a half hour. I could not find it. If you guys know what that is. Anyway, it was about a couple who raised all kinds of different foods. I think it was strawberries. I'm not sure. Anyway, they raised different foods to take it to the farmer's market, and the amount of time and effort it took to grow all that food and harvest that food and package that food and do all these things, it just wasn't worth it. You weren't getting the money. There was no real incentive to keep doing it. The only reason why you would do something like that is if you really, truly, passionately loved it. It's not an income. It's not a revenue stream. You know, God bless you if you're into that battle, but what it seems to be more profitable and what people have found is if you grow plant starts or seeds and sell that at a farmer's market, or other products that you may make at your homestead, like soaps and things like that, that may make more money. But the amount of time and effort, no. In fact, I was just watching this morning. I was doing a video because I had plans to do this video already, answer that question. And I was doing some dishes this morning in the kitchen, and I put up that video by Living Traditions. And they said the exact same thing. They were talking about burnout. Yes, you will burn your butt out if you go try to do farmers markets. It's not an income. There's so many other ways. Homesteading is all about revenue streams, multiple revenue streams. That's how people used to live. That's how homesteaders got by in years past. Back in the olden days, they had as many revenue streams as possible. This is the season to grow hay. This is the season to harvest animals. This is the season to plow. This is the season to harvest. All these multiple revenue streams, as many revenue streams as possible that take the least amount of maintenance. And that's how you make your money. This whole idea that we have gotten in our heads, as Americans, that we need to have a career and go to the job, and that's our job. That's how we identify ourselves as. That's not how homesteaders have done it in the past. That's not how pioneers did it. They had as many revenue streams as possible to be able to survive. And that's how I think we should be doing this. If you're having trouble trying to figure out how can I homestead and make a living, that's how I want to shift. That's how I want you to shift your focus. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, next question. My phone just turned off. I got to turn it back on. How can I find raw milk in my area? Raw milk, relationships. I've talked about often, in my videos that we have a dealer. Because some places it's like illegal. You can go to jail, for selling or buying raw milk. It's like worse than, heroin. But, we have a dealer, and she brings her milk up to us, or we go to her and we buy milk. And you can, it's about relationships, finding out who in your area has a milk cow. I mean, there are a lot of people out there. Listen, I'm not on Facebook anymore. I'll never go back to Facebook. But if you are on Facebook, there are marketplaces, and just put it out there. Does anyone in my area know anyone who has a milk cow? Just curious questions. And then start making connections, start networking, trying to figure out who's in your area. Chances are there's somebody in your area that has a milk cow and would be happy to sell you some raw milk. Just make sure they're experienced at doing it, because you want to keep things clean. It doesn't have to be like, FDA clean, but it needs to be clean. And they need to be, understanding of, hygiene. That's all. But as long as they have that basic understanding, you'll do fine. And so just network. Find who in your area has milk cows, and then talk amongst yourselves. I want to build a chicken coop. Can you recommend any specific building plans? So people have in the past seen our videos on our chicken coops and are like, your coop's amazing. Do you sell the building plans for that? No, we do not. And here's the reason why. There's a bazillion building plans out there for chicken coops, and a lot of them, most of them are very good. The only thing you need to keep in mind when building a coop, any chicken coop, is to make it like Fort Knox. You must make it secure. Okay, if a raccoon can get in there, it's over. It's all over. Possums, snakes, you got these big old black snakes and they'll eat your eggs, and anything that can get into that chicken coop, if it gets in there, it's over. Or you're going to have a severe time trying to recoup from all that. A snake you can usually find, here and there. You can usually catch up to those guys. But if a raccoon gets in there, they could be all dead by morning. So it's like a chicken nugget feast. So you've got to make sure that thing is secure. And so we talk about in our videos some of the ways to do that. Make sure that you have flat paneling, metal paneling on both sides, at least on the outside part of your chicken coop, so that they can't dig a hole underneath that fence. And then put rocks on top of that paneling and dirt on top of that paneling. So one day when you come out to check on your chickens, if you see rocks pulled away, something's out there trying to get in. And you can take whatever steps necessary to stop that, potential intrusion. And then you have things like double layered chicken wire on like the first 1.5 to 2 feet high of your coop. I mean, you're going to have your normal fencing, but then also layer that with some like chicken wire, because snakes will try to get in, and the bigger snakes that have the potential to eat eggs can't get through that chicken wire, especially if you double layer it. And make it about 1.5 or 2 feet above the ground level, because snakes will usually give up after they go about 1 foot or 1.5 feet and can't get in. Okay. At least the snake's big enough to eat. Smaller snakes aren't going to go in there anyway. And if they do get in there, chances are your chickens are probably going to eat them. But the bigger snakes, the chickens won't mess with usually. Sometimes you get a chicken who's like, do lunch. But normally, you got to make that thing like Fort Knox. You can't have any possible way for an animal to get in that coop. Okay, so you've got to be wary of that. Just make it like Fort Knox. It's got to be Fort Knox or it will fail. Next question. My spouse isn't sure about homesteading. How can I convince her to get on board? Him or her? Doesn't matter. I get this question a lot too. Say, Zach, I really want to homestead, but my spouse just isn't on board. How do I do this? All right, a couple things. Number one, you really need your spouse to be on board with this, because you're making a gigantic lifestyle change. That's what homesteading is. It's a completely different way to look at the world. It's a completely different worldview. So you have got to make sure your spouse is on board. If you two are on board with this, you can do anything. You can accomplish anything. Okay. However, if your spouse is not on board, my best way, the best advice I can give you is to continue to point out to him or her the situation in the world today. I mean, you got to be a complete moron. And I hope you didn't marry a complete moron. But if you did marry a complete moron, he would have to be a moron. He or she would have to be a moron to not see the collapsing banks out there. I mean, the banking system is collapsing. Our financial system. Listen, a number of months ago, a year ago, whatever it was, the Federal Reserve says, oh, no, this inflation that we're just seeing, it's transitory. We all knew that was a bunch of crap. Now, they're out there saying, well, we might have a slight recession. Slight. Anything the Fed says, just notch it up by 3 marks, because that's where it's going to be. And so we're looking at, I am planning, I believe we're heading for a major depression. So when these things are happening, you need to be like, hey, spouse, did you see how the banks just collapsed the other day? Did you see how the Fed says, hey, there's a recession coming? Have you seen the cities lately? Have you seen Chicago? Have you seen San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, St. Louis, Detroit? It's absolutely insane. Have you seen the videos on Clown World over at Twitter? Oh my goodness. I can't, the Walmart is leaving the cities. They're closing shop. We can't do business. There's no way to stop the crime. And the police won't do anything. The prosecutors won't do it. Everything is collapsing. See, there's reasons why we decided to homestead. Okay. We wanted to homeschool our children. We wanted to get out of these public school influences. And from that way of thinking. And homesteading is a great way to do that. You can homestead. You can work with your kids on homeschooling. The food out there is processed food is poison. A lot of it is poison. And so I want to grow better food. Well, I can hunt, I can raise animals, I can grow a garden. Homesteading. I want to be away from these high population density areas when it all goes south, because not only is crime going to go up, which we're seeing, but the ability to get goods and services, products and services. Do you see Walmart's leaving? Walmart's leaving. Whole Foods is closing stores. Publix is closing because of the crime. What's the Domino's? Check out this video. This is a normal guy. And you can tell by the way he walks later in the video that he is disabled. And so he's bringing a pizza, and these hoodlums come up, and they steal his pizza, and then they rob out of his car. They took something out of his car. Who knows what it was. And so he's a regular guy Domino's is going to stop delivering pizzas to you because what's the point? If our drivers are getting robbed, so do you understand? This is not about just avoiding crime. This is about not being able to get goods and services, because those businesses who provide the goods and services can't do so anymore because the crime doesn't allow them to. So my parents who used to live in St. Louis suburbs, they saw the crime in their, mid-level suburb area. They had a nice suburb they lived in, but the crime was going off the charts. Like, we got to get out of here. And I was like, I said that 10 years ago. I saw what was coming. So, the best advice I can give you for your spouse, if he or she does not want to jump off and make this jump off to do this homesteading thing, keep pointing out the absolute insanity. And are you going to continue to tell me that everything's fine, everything's okay? Because the ship is sinking. We've done hit the iceberg. And there ain't no way getting off. And the band's still playing, yeah, but there ain't no way getting off the ship without a whole bunch of mess. Okay. Yeah. Listen, I feel for a lot of people who are in that spot, but that's the spot you're in. I'm sorry. And it's going to be hard for you to make that jump without your spouse being on board. So they need to be on board. So the best thing I can do is just keep pointing out the insanity in the world, and hopefully that light bulb will click and it'll just go, you know what? We should probably leave. Congrats. Let's get out of here. All right. Now, next question. How do you protect your water and garden from all the chemtrails? The throbbing's back. I get this one pretty regular. Anytime I do anything on water on my channel, which is big because water is a huge thing for homesteading, people ask this question in the comments below. Guys, have you ever heard that prayer called the Serenity Prayer? Let's read it together, shall we? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, I can't do anything about, short of putting anti-aircraft artillery on my homestead, I can't do anything about the chemtrails. Okay, so I'm not poo-pooing your conspiracy theory. I've looked into it. There's something to all this, but what can I do about it? I can't do anything about it. So what do? I do my best. I filter my water. I try to put good, healthy things on my soil to grow good, healthy produce, food that I can, and food is growing, that I can feed to my family. I can't do anything about the things I can't do anything about. So I'm not going to worry about it. What I will do is make sure things are on the up and up as best as I can. I have these water kits, and I've recommended people to get water kits. There's various water kits you can get online. And the more you spend, the more they check for. But you can get these water kits and check your water to make sure it's okay. It doesn't have this or that in it. And if it does have increasing levels, then you have to make changes to do whatever to do with the water so you don't have that stuff in your water. But rain catchment, listen, I've tested my water numerous times. And it's something I let the kids do. It's a great homeschool project. Hey, time to test the water, and they get to do some science, right? So the water that comes from our rain catchment system is fine. and I filter that. It goes through a number of filters before it even gets in my house. Not anything too crazy, but then I Berkey it. So I filter my water. I'm pretty confident about my water. I can't do anything about, what they're putting in the sky. It just is what it is, guys. You have to accept the things that you have to accept and know the difference about what you can change and what you can't. So, listen, here's the deal. Are you drinking bottled water? You think that's even better for you? Well, where are you going to get your water? If you can't trust the rainwater, where are you going to get your water? You're going to get it out of the municipal water supply system? They're basically recycling feces and urine and then pumping it back through your faucet. Is that the water you're drinking? With a bunch of chemicals, who knows what, fluoride and all this other stuff. And then you got, I'll just buy bottled water. All the plastics, have you not read about all the plastic content and all those things? No, absolutely not. I'm not drinking that. I think my rainwater is 10 times above all of that insanity. And there's things you can get. We may at some point get a reverse osmosis system here. I've had a number of companies reach out to me about that. And so maybe that's something we'll explore later on. But right now I'm very happy with my rainwater system. I love the rainwater. It's very soft water. It beats the hard well water by far. So I'm happy with the rainwater. I can deal with that. Okay, that's the questions I'm going to get into today. We've already been talking for a while. So if you have questions, I have a list of questions already I'm going to be addressing over time. I got those saved aside. So if you have questions, you can go to anamericanhomestead.com, go to our contact page, and send me your question. I may or may not respond. I may or may not pick it up. No promises. I'm a busy guy. I got lots of things to do here. I'm not just sitting at my computer all day long waiting for you to send me whatever you got. Okay, I just got lots of things to do. But I'm interested in the things you might want to, that might be important. And if you hit on something that's a passion of mine or that I feel strongly about, chances are I will probably talk about it. Okay. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Hey, you know what? I don't have ads in the middle of my videos because one of the worst things I hate is when you're watching a video and all of a sudden an ad pops up from YouTube and you have to skip it or play it through. And it's like you totally ruin the whole thought process of what it was the person was talking. I don't do that in my videos, if you notice. Okay, I have it at the beginning and at the end. And that's why I have Genesis Gold Group at the end as one of my sponsors, because you guys, and there's been a number of you who have called Genesis Gold Group and who have signed up because you are locked into 401ks or you're locked into these crazy paper denominated asset investments that you see just taking a nosedive. You get your statements. You're like, oh. Yeah, have you seen gold lately? Have you seen silver lately? As the economy continues to worsen, the things that have been trusted as money for over 5,000 years will continue to shine, pun intended. We'll leave it at that. Hey guys, check out our merchandise, teespring.com, and leave a comment below. Let me know if you have questions. You can even leave a comment below, but I really recommend you go ahead and send them in. If you have a comment about some of the stuff we talked about, chicken coops and all that other stuff, leave a comment below. Something that you comment about may help someone who's looking for answers and has questions themselves. So please participate in the comments. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know what you're doing for water filtration and water testing and how you're protecting your chickens and tips and tricks that you have discovered, because I know I've got a lot of homesteaders in my audience. See you next time in the homestead. Bye. Alexander the Great. Did you know when he died, his body was placed in a coffin made of solid gold? Decades later, Ptolemy X and Cleopatra III stole the coffin and gold artifacts just so they could pay their war debts. Germany, at the time of World War II, stole all of the gold they could get their hands on, and much of it still today has not yet been accounted for. You see, all throughout history, when times get tough, people, either good or bad, seek real wealth. They turn to gold and silver. The central banks and Wall Street cheerleaders would have you believe that gold and silver are just shiny rocks with no real value. But did you know that central banks around the world have for the last year been buying record amounts of gold and silver for stockpiling? Stockpiling for what? What do they know that they're not telling us? Genesis Gold Group is a proud supporter of an American homestead. They help people get out of locked-in 401ks and IRAs into something that's real, physical gold and silver. If you're going to be locked into something, it might be a good idea to talk to Genesis Gold Group about being locked into something physically vaulted instead of just a piece of paper that at the end of the day is just that, a piece of paper. It's a clear surety that our economy is headed for turbulent waters. The nation is currently over $31 trillion in debt, and Congress keeps spending money and the Fed keeps printing it. That does not bode well for anyone keeping and saving money in savings accounts or paper-denominated assets. Call Genesis Gold Group today, this instant, or visit them online at genesisgoldgroup.com. They can put together a strategy that's right for you. And be sure to say that you heard about them from an American Homestead.
Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. Oh wait.